Cops are supposed to make you feel safe. So are husbands. But on a quiet little stretch of Palmetto Street near New Orleans, Louisiana yesterday, those rules did not apply. And maybe that's because Mark Owens is a former husband and a former cop. But tonight he's an inmate, and he's facing charges of hacking his ex-wife to death with an axe in broad daylight, right in front of the neighbors and right in front of her mother. It was the screams that brought out the neighbors, and what they witnessed and what they heard will stay with them forever.
I sit on my porch and I hear a woman screaming. So I thought it was a friend of mine, down here. And so I walked in the street to see what was going on because I saw a man and I saw him swinging something. I didn't know what it was. It could have been a bat. And so I got in my car because I thought it was my friend. So I got in the car and I got about right where we at when I realized what he had in his hand. It was an axe. And I saw what he was doing, what he was doing with it.
Police say Mark was likely hiding under Kimberly Owens' house when she came out to her car to head for work. She was set upon with an axe, and she was hit so many times that she died right there in the street. Her mother saw almost the whole thing, and police say she begged for him to stop. They also say he appeared to go after the mother, too, who ran back into the house to call 911. Jacqueline Mazer is a reporter with CNN affiliate WGNO, and she joins me now from New Orleans. This neighborhood must be so shaken to the core, given that this was just so brazen. Broad daylight, it almost seemed as though it was just devil may care. I don't care who sees this.
Right, Ashley, thanks for having me this evening. This is definitely a tragic situation. Please tell me they have never seen anything like this before. One of the witnesses, a next-door neighbor, and as you mentioned, the mother, who perhaps, in my opinion, was not only brutally attacked with the same axe that she witnessed her daughter's death with, but thankfully managed to escape to safety and call police as well.
So I actually want to play, if I can, Jacqueline, what the sheriffs said about the screaming and this whole notion that this mother who lived with her daughter came upon this site when she came to that front door. Have a listen to how the sheriff put it.
She heard the screams, exited the house, and saw the attack in progress, and she had, yelled and begged for the attack to stop. And at some point, it appeared that he may have gone after her. She retreated into the house and called the sheriff's office.
So, Jacqueline, the sheriff's office was called. I don't know how long that kind of a 911 call takes to get someone there, but it wasn't enough time to stop those blows. And clearly, this woman was savaged.
Clearly, that is the case. I remember when I was viewing the police report that was processed earlier today and just taking a look at it. I mean, it's unbelievable that a human being could do this to somebody else, and let alone an ex-wife. We know that this was due to a domestic violence situation, and obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and the people in Chalmette, Louisiana. It's only about a 25-mile drive from New Orleans.
I was just looking at one of the pictures, Jacqueline, that we're sort of cycling through a lot of pictures of Kimberly, and she's just lovely. There's a picture at one point of her on a red carpet. It looks like she's at an NBC event of some kind. So it's sort of curious as to, there she, I mean, look at that. Clearly she had a lot going for her. She cleared herself of this man. She divorced him several years ago. There's also word, and this always upsets me, to hear that she had a restraining order out on him. What do you know about that?
Right. Well, we do know that Owens did have a history of domestic abuse. Back in 2015, he allegedly attacked a man that he thought was one of his ex-wife's boyfriends. And then back in 2015, he actually drove to his ex-wife's home, assaulted her outside, dragged her inside, and then brandished a weapon in front of her. And it's after those incidents, I believe, that she did have that restraining order taken out on him.
And I think, that first incident you mentioned in 2014, Jacqueline, this was an accusation that he made about a parish president. He's like a mayor for everybody else who doesn't know how New Orleans is. This parish president was being accused of having some sort of a relationship with his ex-wife. I don't know if she was an ex-wife at that time. I really don't know the timing of it. But that parish president must have had a lot to say about this very sort of, I don't know, it seemed to be a very aggressive and very arrogant accusation, and it did not amount to anything good.
Definitely. To be honest with you, Ashley, I don't know much about that situation or their relationship, but it doesn't sound like well, I will say this. It sounds like the ex-husband has a lot of mental health issues that need to be addressed.
Might be something that actually comes up in court. I'm going to ask Joey about that in a minute. But just the last thing I need to get from you. He's a former cop. He's a former, if I get it right, and you clear this up for me if you can, he's a former sheriff's employee. I think he worked as a guard or corrections, but he worked within the sheriff's department, didn't he?
Right, he did. He worked for the St. Bernard Sheriff's Department back in the late 1990s, and then I believe he left in 2000, Ashley.
Hold on for a second, Jacqueline. I want to bring Joey Jackson back in with your defense attorney hat on. I know it's hard. Look, you get this witnessed by everybody. It is vicious, brutal, violent. The headlines are already out there. Your jury pool is already going to know something about this. And then there's the whole notion that he's a former cop. Yeah. How does that play in?
Plays in a way that's adverse to him. It's a problem. And this insanity thing, I think it gets you nowhere. You show up, you have an axe, you lie in wait, you continue to chop, chop, chop. You know, clearly you can argue that he snapped. Something was amiss. And then there's this domestic violence history, and then there's the history that Jacqueline was speaking about, you know, with regard to the past person that he went after because of jealousy. And so I think it's problematic there. I believe that it's what we call a mitigation case. And that means that, look, he's not getting out of here, all right? There's not a defense that's going to send him home. But there could be the I snap defense, which makes it manslaughter, not second-degree murder. But guess what? In this jurisdiction, it's still 40 years. Not a life sentence as second-degree would be, but it's a long time.
Well, by my math, he's 56. So
life
we'll
sentence,
see you at
nonetheless.
96.
Yes.
Oh, Joey. I mean, it's also just, and our hearts go out to the Owens family, not only for their loss, but also what Kimberly's mother witnessed.
And seeing, exactly.
That's got to be an aggravating factor.
And trying to get him to stop to no avail.
It's just so upsetting. She's a lovely, lovely woman. Joey, stand by for a minute.